Welcome to a special Thursday night edition of Convince Me. Same story as Sundays, where you can catch us at 11 a.m. at Action Network HQ. This is going to be all about player props, folks. We got no heartfelt analysis, no heartwarming stories. All we have is Sean Corner, Matthew Friedman, and Chris Raybon convincing me to spend my very hard-earned money on a single player prop for tonight's game between the Seattle Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals, plus with breaking news from the markets, breaking news from the interweb, Katie Rich Creek and Darren Ravel. Also, don't forget, as always, as we do on Sundays, you can win real cash. Not my cash, not the cash I'm betting. You can win real cash if you reply to at Action Network HQ with the exact number of yards for the player that Sean Corner is going to try and convince me to take. So let's get there. Sean Corner, Seattle, Arizona, Thursday Night Football. Give me a player you think I should take. Convince me, my friend.
So my primetime prop tonight is Chase Edmonds over 22 and a half receiving yards. This line opened up around 18 and a half, which is an absolute joke. I'm projecting this closer to 25 to 26 and a half. You can read my article for the full detailed breakdown of how I arrived there. But every yard in this market's worth 2 to 3%. So I still think there's some value there. I bet it up to 24, 25 and a half. But, Chase Edmonds' median receiving yards this year is 21 per game. But the Cardinals are facing a historically awful defense in the Seattle Seahawks, who are on pace to crush the NFL record for most passing yards allowed. They've given up 353 yards a game. So this is certainly a rising tide lifts all boats situation for this entire passing offense. When it comes to Edmonds, I think the market was set a little bit lower because Kenyon Drake returned last game, and yet he ran for over 100 yards. He looked pretty healthy. But one of the reasons Kenyon Drake has been a fantasy bust this year is his lack of passing game usage, and that's because of Chase Edmonds. He is the main pass-catching back in this offense. So I think he'll dominate the passing targets tonight out of the backfield. And like I said, he's going to go over this number probably 58 to 60% of the time, and I bet it up to 25 and a half.
I did something really interesting, which was every yard is worth 2 to 3% against sort of the opportunity for him to go over that. So you were at 18 yards. You said it opened to 18 and a
Yeah,
half.
it opened at 18.
When you were at half, when it opened at 18,
yeah.
what was your percentage that this would go over?
I think it was around 64%. I'll have to double
Now
check.
at 22, it's gone down, say
Yeah.
8%. So maybe it's at 56% right now.
Yeah, it's about 56%. But I think that his ceiling in this matchup is particularly high. And we already have a one-game sample. He caught 7 passes for 87 yards in their first matchup. So I'm hoping it's not going to be close. I'm hoping he just clears us in the first half. But to be careful, these markets are pretty tight. So just make sure you get the best number. And right
All
now,
right,
22 and a half on PointsBet is the best number.
player props are like an increasingly valuable market, an increasing fun market because it's getting harder and harder to beat sides and totals. It's why we're doing player props tonight in our very condensed version, special Thursday night football edition of Convince Me, player prop edition. Matthew Friedman, you're up next, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm going with Andy Isabella, and I bet this at under 21 and a half yards receiving. I believe that now it is around 16 and a half to 18 and a half at most books. I still like it there. Since Christian Kirk returned from injury in week 4, Isabella has been little more than a rotational receiver in the 6 games since then. He's yet to have more than 3 targets in any game. And last week he had just 1 target on a season low 11 snaps. So he is being phased out of the offense. And in just one of the past 6 games, has he gone over even 14 and a half yards, which is where I would be willing to bet this down to. Boy named Izzy has the ability to turn any touch into 80 yards, but if he's not running routes and he's not getting targets, his talent doesn't matter. In dynasty leagues, I think he's a great buy low because of his talent and his situation. He has a great future, but for this game, I'm taking the under on his yardage prop.
Betting the under on a Thursday night football game is the absolute worst. That is like the definition of disgusting, Friedman. I thought you couldn't get any lower than you normally do on the show, and you just found a new way to make me feel even sicker to my stomach about your bets. Chris
Thank you.
Raybon, save me from having to make a choice between Andy Isabella and Chase Edmonds.
Well, I got the perfect solution for you, Chad, because what do we know about the Seattle Seahawks? They give up ridiculous amounts of receptions to not only running backs, but wide receivers. And you look at this team and they've given up 195 catches to wide receivers, most in the league by a landslide. And you have Larry Fitzgerald sitting here. His reception prop is 3.5. I love the over pretty much to any juice. I have this well over 4. And you look at Larry Fitzgerald, and during the bye week, which was a couple of weeks ago for Arizona, there was a pressure to play the stars more. Since then, Larry Fitzgerald routes run per dropback has gone up to 90%. He played 95% of the dropbacks last week. And by the way, in the first matchup, he caught a season high 8 of 8 targets for 62 yards. He doubled what you would need to go over in that first matchup. 24 receivers Seattle has allowed to catch 4 or more balls in just 9 games. That is also a league high by a landslide. Go with my prop, Larry Fitzgerald. You may never get a chance, Chad, to bet the over on a Larry Fitzgerald prop ever again.
Now, here's what I love about this. You guys all chose Cardinals and receiving yards because the Seahawks defense, as we have noted, as Corner noted, is historically bad as it could get, right? Giving up so many yards. What I love about this, what makes it even more disgusting is like Friedman coming at me with an under prop for a team that is going against the worst passing defense in NFL history. Jared
Goff,
you guys have all heard each other. You guys have all heard each other's arguments. I am about to make my decision. Does anybody have any last words to make the case for themselves before I decide which way I'm going?
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually like the Isabella under as well, but that is a stressful 60 minutes because he could clear that number in one single play. And you know, the one thing you do to make Freeman uncomfortable is to pick the under for his prop. Because he will be just as nervous as you for 60 minutes. But I do think the numbers do show him going under that more than 50% of the time, but it's going to be a scary one for sure.
Here's the thing, Chad, you can pick this prop if you want, because I don't care, whatever. It's independent of what you choose. But here's the reality. Raybon is asking you to bet the over on Methuselah's father. Okay. And Raybon is asking you, and Sean is asking you to bet the over on a second string running back. Do you want to do that for either of them? I am asking you to indulge the best self, your pessimistic self. You know you want to be rooting for failure on Thursday Night Football, Chad.
Here's the problem. Last week, you suggested I bet Ronald Jones under 51 yards. And the only reason I didn't make the bet is because by the time from when we did the show to when I could get the bet down, the number had dropped even more. And I'm like, nah, the number's gone. I can't get this. One play for 98 yards, and it was over. And here's what I keep hearing. Andy Isabella is so talented. Andy Isabella is so fast. I don't need an underbet on one player with a ton of talent who can be in for 2 snaps and potentially get the one deep ball that Kyler Murray throws against a Swiss cheese secondary. Friedman, you're out. There's no way you're going to sucker me in to making this bet. I'm going with Chase Edmonds. I love the Chase Edmonds play. I like seeing Kyler Murray thrown out of the backfield. I can see a lot of bubble routes, like bubble screens. I don't have a lot of faith in Larry Fitzgerald right now. Over 4 feels like a lot to me, which is essentially what I have to bet at 3.5. So I am going to take my stack of cash and I am going with Chase Edmonds over 22.5 receiving yards out of the backfield. I think that they have a chance to destroy the Seattle Seahawks secondary tonight. Also, by the way, you can reply at Action Network HQ. What do you think Chase Edmonds' total yards are going to be? Total receiving yards can be. If you get it right, you can win real money What do we got next? Katie Rich Creek, you're on the clock.
I've got some tidbits, I guess, to share about the total for tonight. If it closes at 57 points, which it's still at multiple books across the market, it'll be the highest of any Thursday night football over-under ever. The next three highest were 56.5 points for the Chargers at Broncos in 2013, then 54.5 points for the next two. First was Patriots at Bucks in 2017, and then Saints at Falcons in 2012. And all three went under the total. But that's not scaring away bettors, it seems, because according to our public betting data, the over is getting a majority of tickets and money.
You know what? On a Thursday night, people just want to have a good time. They just want to relax. They want to settle in. They know the end of the week is coming, and they're like, let me just see a game, and let me just bet the over. Darren Ravel, what are you seeing?
Do they have a good time when they lose that money, Chad? Oh, okay.
Don't play the Friedman card and be pessimistic.
I'm not. Okay. So let me just give you the numbers quickly on the over. Points bet 92% on the over, MGM 69%, and then 68%. By the way, it got up to 58.5 before it was pushed down by the pros. Let me just give you the splits tonight, just individually. Points bet 57% of the bets are on Seattle, and MGM 59% of the bets are on Seattle. But 87 and 89% of the money is on the Cardinals. That's spread. Biggest bets, we haven't seen a ton, but William Hill has a Seattle money line, 25,000 at minus 160, and there's a 44K to win 40 on Arizona. So not huge bets, but I think collectively people are really excited about this, given that it's Thursday Night Football.
It's one of the rare good Thursday Night Football games.
Right?
So I'm super excited about it. I'm on Seattle, -3.
So am I.
Seattle's never lost three in a row. They've never lost three in a row in the Russell Wilson era. 7-0 when they've lost two straight.
So Raybon's on Seattle -3.
Raybon.
Friedman, you got a side? You got a dog in the side?
Yeah, I like Cardinals +3. That's the one I like.
Corner.
Yeah, I really liked Cardinals at +3.5, but I like them at +3 still.
Well, listen, it's sad that you guys are going to lose and Raybon and Darren and I are going to win. But
Sad.
I think we can all agree that Chase Edmonds over 22.5 receiving yards is a great bet. This has been Convince Me from the Action Network for Sean Corner, Matthew Friedman, Chris Raybon, Katie Rich Creek. I am Chad Millman. We will see you on Sunday for the extended version. And oh yeah, Darren Ravel. How could I forget about Darren Ravel? We will see you on Sunday for the extended version. We'll do player props. We'll do sides. We'll do totals. We'll do news. We'll do markets. Everything you need to get ready for Sunday.